Hello and welcome back to Disco Elysium. So, last time we found this person on a ship here, but we didn't speak to them, so let's speak to them. What have we got here? Your room in the whirling isn't much bigger than a sloop. Okay, hello. Oh wait, we got somebody here. This is worth more than you'll ever earn in all your life. Oh, well that's good to know as well. Right, hello there. Joyce Messier. A striking woman leans against the cabin top of her sailing boat, smiling as you approach. Her green raincoat glistens with droplets. A silk scarf is tied around her throat.
Good afternoon, officers. I'm Joyce.
She extends her hand in greeting.
Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM.
She steps closer and holds out her hand over the railing. What gave us away?
Nothing, honestly. I've said it to every drunk in town, and you're the first one who's responded.
Ooh, that's low blow. Relax, she meant it in jest. Joyce L. What does the L stand for?
Leighton, my maiden name.
Her bony hand dangles from the sleeve of her oversized raincoat. I'm going to shake her hand.
I'm glad to see you here.
Her grip is tight and cold. Like steel, there is strength there. If she wanted, she could sink her nails deep into your skin.
I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will, gladly.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual medical episode. Very unusual. But I can assure you of his ultimate competency.
There's a trace of irony in his voice. Mischief, even. This is a tactic.
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines group.
Now, one thing Kim told us to do was to be wacky. So, just to remember that, we have to be wacky. It's hard to get a read on her precise disposition, but she appears helpful. Okay. You seem rich. Can I have some money? Is what you want to say, but it isn't that easy, is it? What? Why not? Look at that lady. Take a gander. Squint your eyes, bub. What lustrous hair. A well-kempt yet tasteful short bob of dark hair. Despite the first hints of grey, she's elected to keep it au naturel, shaped into a permanent wave, late 40s style. Positively statuesque. While dull orange pearls hang from her earlobes, red from cold, her light green eyes scan you, full of knowledge and worry, wealth and all its possibilities. These are the kind eyes of the rich man that seem to say everything is possible. Within reason. Yeah, so? Now look at you. You misery-clad simian, barely able to tie your own laces. Your armpits are lakes, a scythe of booze precedes you. Your hair sticks to your forehead, and your underwear feels uncomfortable. You're poor. Poor as balls. You can't ask this person for money. You're too... What's this feeling? I've never felt it before. Shame? You haven't really been in the presence of gentlefolk either, have you? What shame is there to be felt in front of these dock workers, cops, and hotel clerks, but to belittle yourself in the eyes of those... Ooh, Danelle. As I was saying... Her voice breaks the silence, and suddenly you're back again. Nearby a seagull pecks at a piece of garbage. If there's any way I may be of assistance, please don't hesitate to ask. I have a very high chance here. Can I have some money? Voila! You're doing it. Well. You seem rich. Can I have some money? Why, yes, I am rich. How much money do you need? Hopefully not too much. I couldn't bring all of it with me. She's surprisingly nonchalant about this. Could it be she somehow knows more about your predicament than she's letting on? I need 130 real. That's a good sum. Not too small, not fantastically large. She reaches into her raincoat and pulls out a zip bag. In it you see paper notes arranged like black gills. She removes a fruit... She actually gave it to us. She removes a few notes and hands them to you. The paper is cold and oily to the touch. Whoa, whoa. Did you see how easy that was? Ask her for more. Train to Moneytown. Can I have some more? This may seem like odd behavior for a police officer, madame, but it's a perfectly common side effect of his... He squints at you. Unusual medical episode. It's all right, Lieutenant. The woman dips her fingers back into the bag. I really did bring as little cash with me as possible to avoid attention, so here you are, the last bits of filthy lucre I can share. We're at 141. That's much better than we were. So, she returns the zip bag to her jacket. I hope I didn't just bribe you, officer. It may not be technically illegal under the Emergency Act, but still... Well, let's see. Yeah, I'm still getting my head around this whole money concept. You were just helping me out. You're right, madam. The donations are permitted under the Emergency Act, unseemly as it may be, as long as they're properly logged with the precinct. Which he most certainly will do. She bows and then raises a single eyebrow in your direction. Now, how else can I help the RCM today, besides supplementing its salaries? You're on a boat. Why, yes, I am. She looks at the deck under her feet. Green and white sails flutter overhead. Does she have a name? The boat? No. It is called Cordelette 19, because that's the type of sloop it is. Okay, but what kind of boat is it? It's a pleasure craft, a 19-pacer. It also happens to be rated for Category 1 racing, though these days I mainly use it for business. How'd you like it? My sloop? Well, I like it a lot. Her lips curl into a wry smile. It's the eel's hips baby. I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we are investigating. Not a lot of people on boats, are there? Of course there are. She looks around. We are on an archipelago. How else were we supposed to get around? Wait, we're on an archipelago? Yes, we are. She raises her brow. We are on Le Calou. Technically, the neighbouring Ozone and Face à la Mer island groups are archipelagos, while La Calou, by contrast, is a single fertile landmass and the fourth largest island in the world. It is not an archipelago. Wait, I thought Le Calou was one big island. Okay, she gives you a crooked smile. If you want to get technical, the point is we're all on islands here, and sail is still the most expedient way to get from one island to another, especially when you're in a hurry to resolve a strike. Okay, I haven't seen anyone else sail a boat around here. I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Cupris Kinema motor carriage either. Actually, the lieutenant becomes defensive. That motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol and pursuit vehicle. It's for crossing long distances in the greater Revachol industrial harbour. It is not a toy. Neither is this. The woman pats the cabin hardtop. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the Bay of Revachol, between the city and the islands. You need to make this lady admit she's only riding around on this boat because she's rich. Yeah, good question. Why? Why what? Stop thinking. Take her down. Yeah, you know what? You're right. I do need to nail her for this. I don't know why, but, you know, let's do it. Charge. You've got the guns and the ammo. Go in for the kill. Let's talk about the economics of this boat you're on. Oh my, the E word. She crosses her arms. You mean to say that it's a symbol of conspicuous consumption? That I'm a member of the ruling class? Precise mundo, class wartime, baby. Detective, may I remind you that Mrs. Mézières is a professional negotiator. He doesn't look like he thinks you'll best her in single combat. Then what does that say? She points to the plaque on the side of the pier. Does it say docking reserved for residents of Rue de Saint-Ghislaine, 33A? 33A. This old proletarian haunt here. She waves at the ruin looming overhead. As I said, plenty of people drive boats of all social strata. Oh, with my reaction speed, I can fire back quick. Let's do it. Ooh. She takes a sip. It's gonna happen. Okay. Something is about to happen. In here. Pointing to head. Of course. Nothing happens for quite a while. I'm just gonna start going a bit crazy, waving my hand. It will happen. It doesn't. Keep waving your hand slowly. My, she inspects the motion. It's as if there is a tiny spinner on the side of his head, and he's reeling thoughts out. Except he isn't. Lieutenant is satisfied with where this is going. He did tell us to go weird. I'm going to keep doing it. Lieutenant, I truly don't understand what is happening here. I told you his methods are unconventional. I swear to God, I'm usually sharp. I don't know what happened. Why am I not killing it? Your marbles and glass, dear. Don't worry. What were you talking about anyway? Yes, it was quite a while ago, but I think... She looks around. Yes, we were discussing my large, fast, ineluctably middle-class boat. Do you have a license for it? Officer, I assure you I'm a highly qualified pleasure craft operator. The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles. Her nonchalance might be related to something called the Wayfarer Act, a law that says she doesn't need a license. Sly fox. You're not aggressive enough to harass her further on this. Okay, I think I have a handle on the boat thing. Good. She takes a sip of her thermal cup. Okay. Tell me about Wild Pines. What do you do? What we do, I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole. It's a giant undertaking. There was a touch of discomfort there. She wants to merely represent. So what do they do? The Pines' core competency is logistics, container shipping, freight, and that sort of thing. She points to the small dots on the horizon. See those airships there, blinking? Those are the shipping side of things. And then to the east, towards the harbour, and that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms. The Wild Pines Group is one of the original Revacholian Indo-tribes. Okay. Companies awarded royal monopolies by the king, the suzerain himself, centuries ago. The king is long gone, but several of the Indo-tribes remain. Who are the other Indo-tribes? Saint Baptiste, Lum, an unknown entity known as Brightest Star. You're in good company, it seems. Why, thank you. She does not register the real meaning of the remark. How much money does Wild Pines have? I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year the company booked in more than 20 billion real in revenue. Numbers like that mean nothing to me. Yes, past a certain point, numbers seem to begin to seem imaginary, but they are quite real for the 72,000 employees who depend on Wild Pines for their paychecks. A conglomerate the size of Wild Pines is like a shark. If it stops moving and growing, it will die. Then what becomes of those 72,000 families? It is a tremendous responsibility. Where does Wild Pine get all these billions? They started as an exploration and cargo fleet, conducting trade between the Samaran and Insulidian Islos. 250 years ago, when the Pine ships explored the South Seminoes and chartered Lo Mangthang on behalf of the suzerain. Centuries of care, deliberation, and madness have gone into this endeavor. Vessels passed through the great unrest to emerge with apricots in tow. The logic of this system is totalizing. It's taken everything from its employees to build it. Probably helps to start out with a royal monopoly. You know more than you let on. She takes a sip and looks you over afresh. Certainly it helped, but most of the original Indo tribes have failed or been absorbed. To survive, wild pines had to grow and adapt. No suzerain did that. What does such a huge system want with a place like this? You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners? She gives you a little smile. Who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo? You don't keep it moving, the workers do. The company is nothing without them. We built this district, she says calmly. We, there it is, she owns up to it. All the best parts of it. Rue de Saint-Ghislain with its bastions, the plaza's Metoran mosaic, even some of the old street lamps have been put back thanks to investments from the WP. She points behind you where the seawall rises. Before Martinez was swallowed by the industrial harbour, even before it was part of Revachol, long before Terminal B was erected here, the Pines built it as a resort for some Revacholian employees. A company getaway, for a weekend, or a summer holiday. Then came the revolution, but that's another matter. He takes a sip. I'm here to make sure the Pines can fully fulfill their responsibilities to the place they built. With your help, hopefully, says her warm tone. What can you tell me about the strike? Everything, she smiles. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets. Wait, what if I want to hear about trade secrets? First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade and Ailments that gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus. The octopus that straddles Revachol. The Emergencies Act is the cornerstone of post-war Revachol, inseparable from the world it created. Okay. How do I repeal it then? Why, by throwing off half a century of foreign domination under the Coalition. Unfortunately for you, the Coalition also leases you the right to police West Revachol. You'll be shooting yourself in the foot, in other words. I'll leave it alone. But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike. What's your role in this precisely? I believe the official title is Senior Labour Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer. How are the talks going? They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place. Now they won't even let me into the harbour. There's a 2.2-metre racist behemoth blocking the gates. Tell me more about this behemoth. What can I say? The union employs a giant covered in tattoos. She pauses. A racist giant. I guess it's part of their big tent operation now. How were the talks going before the lynching? Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived. And when did you first arrive? I arrived 3 weeks ago, she thinks. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I do prefer these things on site like the RCM. He looks at his notes. But this strike began in December. I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont, despite concessions he'd granted to the union in prior negotiations. This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike. Heavens no! There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive. Ludicrous even, it's meant. What are their demands? There are leaflets everywhere and banners. What did they say again? Oh, yes. Every worker a member of the board. Most of the workers probably don't know what that means. I like it. Then you might also like their other slogan, Demand Democracy. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Personally, I don't think it's the same pizzazzo as every worker a member of the board. What do they mean by it though? What's the demand? It's quite simple, you see. Every time the Wild Pain group makes a decision about about anything really, needs a signature of each of the 22,000 workers in the Martinez terminal. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they're also kings of the 72,000 employees of the Wild Pines group. That's pretty funny, I have to admit. They're having a blast, but how can they afford it? After 4 months, my assumption was they would prefer a more practical solution. What are you going to do? I'm not sure. Naturally, I assumed that this was the opening position, a hard-nosed tactic for the side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now the people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags, a disastrous situation if there ever was one. Excuse me, the lieutenant looks up from his notes. From whom did you hear about this lynching? A reply comes quick. I first heard it from the boya at the gates, the one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think it was call me Manana. This checks out. What happened to Gaumont? Mr. Clare told them to, how did he put it? She pauses to compose herself. Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see. Not cool. Keep in mind, this was before negotiator Clare had worked with. This was a negotiator Mr. Clare had worked with before, and who was more than fair with him in the union. Tell me about this union boss, Mr. Clare. Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first. Really? Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he is a thick, vicious goo where you and I have blood. I'm going to say nothing. He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venile, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother Edgar. Wait, there are two of him? Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues. Okay, what about the union itself, outside of the Brothers Clare? The Debardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it and I can respect that. She adjusts her hair. Organized labor at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The Brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... Oh, how do you say? She hesitates, looking for the right expression. A mob, Lieutenant says succinctly. The Debardeurs are a crime syndicate, sad as it may be, we're forced to cooperate with them. Refreshingly honest, officer. She nods. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened the Everard and his brother. She turns to you. And your opinion, detective? If I may ask, I'm a curious and talkative person, you see, she explains. Would you say the Debardeurs Union is... I prefer not to have an... You know what? I don't know. What do we think? Are they an effective advocate for the rights of local workers, men? Not after hearing that they swindle. Leech sucking the life out of Revachol? Could be. Socialist mob? You know what? I'm gonna stay neutral here. Of course, officer. One more thing. You said something happened in the elections? I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous foreman of the union. She disappeared. Disappeared? Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore, or coming to work, ever. End of story. Eerie. Downright haunting, if you ask me. The Wild Pines suspected foul play, but what could they do? It was a union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch you out when you're dealing with them. Thank you for your concern, madam. We'll be just fine. That's all I needed here. Let's change the subject. Alright. What can you tell me about the lynching? Quite a few things, I'm afraid. She falls silent for a moment, contemplating something. Secret task complete. Interview the Wild Pines rep. There are secret tasks as well. Okay. So what have we got? Can I look at these now? I can. So we just finished a secret task to interview the Wild Pines rep. Okay, cool. And I got a new thing here, apparently. Oh, I finished my thought. Okay. The information I'm to share with you includes my sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers. Of course, madame. We should have introduced ourselves. The lieutenant hands her a piece of blue plastic. I'm Lieutenant Kitsuragi from the Precinct 57. He points to you. And this is my colleague from Precinct 41. I'm afraid he doesn't have his badge at the moment. I hope mine will suffice. How curious. She returns the lieutenant's badge and turns to you. Why is that, detective? Awkwardness washes over the conversation. The woman doesn't like this turn of events. Remember when my partner told you I'd recently suffered from an unusual medical episode? My lost badge is related to it. Oh, I see. He looks increasingly worried. So you're saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode? Yes. I can't hear you, darling. Speak up, please. Oh, we have to choose one of these. Let's choose the second one. I could have eaten it for all I know. I don't remember anything. This world, the city, nothing. Oh, dear. She sighs with compassion, sadness even. I suppose this does explain some of the more curious turns in our conversation. She must have been suspecting something for a while now. Probably when I asked her for money and then said I didn't know what it was. As I said, madame, the lieutenant interjects. His technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer of the RCM. Of course, I sympathize. But I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen that badge. Hang on, she's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some kind of mutually beneficial arrangement. What kind of arrangement? Wait, okay. How do I negotiate my way out of this? Let's try it. Oh, she's a negotiator. Just float a favor at her. Insinuate. Surely there's some other way to demonstrate her law enforcement credentials. I will be frank with you. She puts down her thermal cup. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to want to see something very tangible. You're in, but expect to drive a hard bargain. Like what? Reports from inside Terminal B suggest it's a hub for the local drug trade. This is an open secret in Martinez. The Union controls the terminal, so it goes to reason. They're profiting from this trade. The company has tried looking into this matter before, but to no avail. Perhaps someone with your authority and resources might turn over the right stones. Or, she picks the cup back up, you can recover your badge. Though, if I may be blunt with you, it sounds like that may be a lost cause. Detective. Lieutenant closes his notebook. A word in private before we continue. Excuse us for a moment, madam. Oh, it's our thought. Lonesome long way home. Nice. Here we go. Home awaits. We walk past Station 41 and through the market, past the Boogie Street spearhead to the other side of the lake. The Frozen Eye at the centre of the district, then past the video rental store in the corner. There, at the end of the street, lined with pine trees, a small house, no larger than a matchbox. 11 Voyager Road. You no longer live there. Those times are gone, and so are those people. Why did you come here? Why are you still here? And where's the dealer? You have to get back to work. That's all you have now. So learning cap from perception raised to 5. Speed gives 1 psi. Oh, I guess if we take speed, the drug, it would give us 1 psi. Okay, and the learning cap for perception's gone up. I mean, that's cool. We're still learning about Mazovian socio-economics, but that's okay. What else have we got here? Nothing new here. Okay. And Joyce's info on the lynching. That's fine. Hey, what's up?
This is not going quite as I hoped it would, Detective.
The lieutenant's voice is hushed. How did you hope it would go?
Honestly, I was expecting you to use your unorthodox technique to keep her off balance and, you know, not volunteer us to be her henchmen.
Oh, so we're henchmen now?
This woman is running circles around us. She might have known about your misplaced badge all along, or she's simply an adept improviser. Either way, we played straight into her hands.
He doesn't let it show, but there's a limit to how much consequences of your unprofessional behavior. But there is a limit to how much the consequences of your unprofessional behavior can cost the investigation. What do you propose? That we don't investigate the drug trafficking?
No, if there is reasonable suspicion, we must investigate. Otherwise, she would claim that we're siding with the Union, or that we're on their take. Never hear the end of it. What I propose, we ask her, then we investigate briefly. He adjusts his glasses, but we do not share the outcome of this investigation with her. We tell her it's done and demand for her information on the lynching.
We could find my badge.
Oh, he nods slowly. That would be fantastic, but do we have the time? The world is large and your bag is 8 by 6 centimeters.
The situation might have changed drastically by the time you locate it. Time is of the essence.
You could request a new one from your station, but that would literally take months.
I'm sorry for putting us in this situation. I'll handle it.
I'm sure you will, detective.
Let's get back to her then. Hey.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
You seem smart. I need someone to give me a lowdown on this reality we're in.
This reality?
She pulls her hood closer around her neck. Yes, reality is your side case. An experimental side case. It's related to that medical episode. I have trouble remembering even the most basic terms of reality.
Ah, yes, the episode. It sounds like an acute case of encephalopathy. Now that I think of it.
She puts down her thermal cup and looks at you.
Don't be fazed, madame. He functions perfectly well. He only needs a lowdown on all of reality.
Well, we may be here a while then. She takes a long sip of tea. Ask away, officer. I'll help however I can. Okay, so we got some things. Where are we?
We're in Martinez, baby.
Baby?
A casual term of endearment popular among the 50-plus crowd. It's a disco holdover. Pay it no heed.
I'm a disco holdover myself.
Ah, she smiles. Aren't we all?
She refers to your corresponding ages. And what is Martinez?
Martinez is a district of Revachol.
She looks around, her green raincoat flapping in the wind.
A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbour, north of 881 and Jamrock. You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgetful even. Shelled to smithereens during the Revolution.
She shrugs.
It has its charms, just not this time, of course.
Tell me more about this Martinez.
I'm not a good ambassador. I've only been here once before as a teenager. Not a lot has changed.
She closes her eyes.
There are ruins, a terminal, fishing boats, reeds, boys with boxy shoulders.
She opens them.
As I told you, Martinez used to be a province, a workers' resort. Before the city swallowed it and the artillery did its part. Now the reeds are the real stars of the show here. The further down the coast, the wilder it gets.
You mentioned a sea. What sea is this?
It's not really a sea, it's the Bay of Revachol, and the bay feeds into the ocean.
Are we near the ocean?
Yes, we're on an island in the ocean, the world's largest body of water, the Insulindic.
Known to the early Revacholians as Les Immensites Bleu, the Blue Immensities. Vast, lukewarm, and unknown, flowing in and out of sight. What's the name of this island?
Kealu, as you already know.
She looks into the waters.
Imagine a pebble, smoothed over a pebble amidst a great blue sea, misshapen, cracked. The cracks are in the river Esperance. We're in the delta of this river on the 6th branch, the Martinez distributary.
It's clear this pebble is of enormous value to her. And to humanity at large. Okay, that's Martinez. What's Revachol?
Revachol is what you'd call a city.
What kind of city is Revachol?
The great kind.
As if it's self-explanatory. Beyond patriotism, a fact. What makes Revachol great?
History, detective. They built this city to resolve history. Our part in it, at least are centuries.
When was Revachol built?
In the DeLorean century. 380 years ago.
Alright, who built the city?
The nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from the Semenine and Ilmara, depending on your creed.
And why will it resolve history?
They say it's where the terrible questions of our time will be answered. The tensions are highest and the fault lines deepest. By that I mean conflicts, ideological conflicts, the stuff of men.
Why here?
We are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island able to sustain up to 200 million people in the middle of the Insulandic Ocean. The world's connective tissue, she smiles. That's where the money is.
So we're in an unimportant part of an important place? Actually no, so we're pretty much at the center of the world?
Oh, we're quite a way off, about...
She points across the water where the skyscrapers rise.
22 kilometers from the center of the world. That soldering iron is the Bank of the World building. The bottom floors are Insurcom, Coalition Government, Insula Dian, Mission Control, Command.
Look to the sea. Silence. She lowers her hand. The water, the light, is as though you're seeing it for the first time. There is no recognition, only the immensity of the sea and the cold radiating from it. Where are we?
We are where we are. I've no truer answer to give, unfortunately.
She looks at you closely as you scan the horizon. This is one thought you need to complete. Where are you?
Was there something else you wanted to know? I remember something about a lowdown.
This has been informative, thank you, madame. I'm sure my memory-impaired partner has many more questions to ask. He turns to you, about even more fundamental aspects of reality. Madame suggests not asking them all right now. Madame, Monsieur will be here later too, and tomorrow, isn't that true, madame?
Absolutely, my commitment here is long-term.
Actually, now that I think about it, I should probably do this one as well. Oh, it doesn't cost anything to do this one. I can't internalize it right now. I need to unlock a new slot to research the thought. Wait, oh, I could forget these thoughts if I wanted to. I wonder if you have to do the full research, or whether you can just forget them, like on the fly. Huh. Okay, interesting to think about. Anyway. But I want to know everything now. That is understandable, but perhaps it is better not to eat all your candy at once.
Indeed, I am always at your service.
What times are these?
These are unimportant times, detective.
She puts a finger to her lips, then points at you.
You and I were both born after the dust had settled, a thousandth of a second too late.
Too late for what?
For the big time.
Her eyes light up. There's a flash of teeth. What's the big time?
The revolution, she says.
Ha! And what is this revolution I keep hearing about?
It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next. Who gets shot in the head and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle.
Who gets shot in the head?
Those would generally be communists, generally speaking. 40 million people get shot in the head during the World Revolution. But the communists, they all got shot in the head. Oh, the anarchists too. They shot them as well. So, well, one forgets they even existed.
Did the communists and the anarchists shoot back?
Did they ever? Before they shot themselves, they shot 2 million people.
Truly a kerfuffle.
It was a kerfuffle, all right, Lieutenant mumbles from behind his notes. Yes, the Interrogate deluge, they call it.
I had a deluge too, in my head. I'm going to keep pointing to my head every opportunity I get.
Yes, an accurate thiamine deficiency can be exacerbated by alcoholism.
She blinks her green eyes.
Exacerbated means made worse.
Anyone else get shot in the head on the opposing side?
Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious.
She shakes her head.
Just as well, he wasn't actually the king, just the king's nephew. The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad.
I don't care about kings. Tell me one more thing. Who got the mineral rights?
The liberals got the mineral rights.
She looks to the sky and then inland to the crumbling city.
And by mineral rights, I mean everything.
And by how did the liberals win it all?
Oh, they didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember?
We. He's one of them, of course. If everyone got shot, who was there to surrender to?
To foreign intervention, the coalition. Those people really took the mineral rights.
Who are the coalition?
The coalition of nations, Grad, Mesk, Vesper, Messina, Orange, and Sur Le Chef, the armed center of the world. They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do.
There is bitterness in her voice, tempered with understanding. She is critical but ultimately understands the cause. Moralist?
The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is. They believe in mineral rights and not shooting people in the head. At least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provincial rulers of Revachol now, the coalition government. It is their special administrative region. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist.
The colour of moralism is blue. The official motto of the Moralintern, or Moralist International, is a blue forget-me-not, a piece of grey sky, unofficial. For a moment, there was hope. I don't think I'm a moralist, ma'am.
Of course, she sizes you up. Not easy to be moderate about head shooting in your line of work.
When was this kerfuffle?
The turn of the century revolution.
She smiles mischievously.
Don't answer it, it's a trick question. The revolution began in '02 on the Grad Isola, though by the end nearly the whole world had got involved.
Who started it?
It wasn't a who, but a what. A pandemic of the Zarath, a particularly virulent prion disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Mazov came along and overthrew the government.
What did this Zarath do?
It made people overthrow the governments.
No way.
Indeed, Zarath is a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed brain tissue. The actual cause of the revolution was material. The pandemic only provided the spark.
It was a funny time in history. They discovered transistors and rock music, but didn't know anything about prions. Nobody did. Where did it spread from there?
From Revachol and Grad. Not far, the world managed to cauterize itself. Mazov's government was overthrown in '08, and a coalition crafted the Revachol commune 2 years later. It was the end.
What came next?
Why, you and I, officer.
She spreads her arms, raincoat flapping in the wind.
Our lives in this special administrative region.
Something tells you her life and yours are not that similar. Maybe it's because she has a boat and you have a necktie. A pair of pants? Our lives are very different from each other.
No doubt, but we share the same time and position on the planet's crust. That counts for more than you think.
What's the special administrative region?
A city-state divided into 3 market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the coalition of nations, and you, of course, the citizens' militia. The special administrative region is the 3rd incarnation of Revachol, after the failure of the suzerain and the commune.
What happened in the rest of the world?
Modernity. They developed the marvels of Inter-solary communication, telematic milius, radiation, colored plastics. Meanwhile, in Revachol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade.
51 minus 8 equals 43. Wait, saying it's been like this for 43 years?
Time flies.
What have we been doing all that time?
The 20s saw a decade of urban war. West of the river leveled, offshore platforms in flames. Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came before. 08 to 19 was simply hell.
And after that?
The 30s. Things settled down in the 30s. Revachol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven. With the international community's blessing, for the first time in a long time, it seemed like things were going somewhere.
That's when they discovered disco.
Yes, and quantitative easing. It was a market mirage, unfortunately. The 40s dispelled it. An isole-wide hangover, you might say. So, here we are.
She curtsies. Oh, we got a level up. Nice.
Welcome to reality, baby.
Okay, that is nice that we got another one of those. Which side was the... for her to be where she is, Wildpine's group must have picked the right side. Which side was Wildpine's group on?
They picked the winning side, and that's why they're here and others are not.
They chose wisely.
Perhaps it wouldn't have turned out that way had I been in charge. I might bet on the king and led the Pines to doom.
You would have sided with the king?
I would have sided with the cannons. If you'd seen the calibers of the things, you might have too, she thinks. Perhaps it's better I was born when I was. 10 of the 14 Indo tribes got it wrong. Beld, Cupris, Tricentennial. So I suppose I would have been in good company.
What would you have done differently?
Good question, she cranes her neck. What would you have done differently?
I would have sought a medical solution. Sounds like Taz the Wrath drove these people mad.
So a quarter of her humanity, she calculates, simply lost their minds. And how would you stop a prion, a complex folding protein, unlike technology 50 years ago?
I don't know. With some hygiene, modest social care, and perhaps a little research program?
Good hygiene, really. A moderate solution to an extreme problem is those sort of hash measures that doomed the authorities in Grad. When they failed to step up, Mazov and his party stepped in. In this particular case, maybe a more robust state response might have been appropriate.
The lieutenant puts down his notes for a moment. Opinions expressed here do not reflect the official position of the RCM.
He turns to him. And what is your official position, Lieutenant?
My position, madame? My parents got ripped to shreds in the revolution. I would have gone the same way. I was saved by being 2 years old. That is my position. The abattoir.
Understandable, she nods. That's enough about the times. They are what they are. Who knows, an afterbloom may yet come. Anyway, enough sentimentality. Is there anything else you want to know?
This is really useful and interesting. So, for this one, I want to hold off until we can put our coat back on at least. But yeah. Okay. Don't know what we're doing with that. I think we'll just leave that one. I want to know what you are. She hums. She won't maneuver her way out of this one. What are you?
I am the vilest of the vile, she says with a sudden flash of teeth. A traitor, a devourer of nations and infants. I am an ultra.
She raises the corner of her mouth, smirking, revealing a canine. Dios mío! A liberal! Yes, drawing a cross.
Yes, she nods slowly. I am the nether creature of the forbidden swamp. I pushed the king under a shit wagon and betrayed the revolution. My kind sundered the nation to financial colonists. I can see you thought we'd gone extinct. After all, no sane person identifies as an ultra-liberal anymore. Not in broad daylight.
She looks into your eye.
You're a centrist at heart. A real moralist, no? Tell me, now I've uncoiled myself, do you find me frightening?
In her green eyes, you see a mixture of truth and self-satire, decades of guilt and pride. Forgive her. But only because you like pearlescent teeth and those light green eyes. I forgive you, but only because you're charming.
A duel, she pronounces. Who, being of great charm and guile, sneaketh into the homes of the godly.
Vile duel. Shaking my head slowly.
I hope so. I hope we are able to continue as friends despite my scaly bulk and the insanity, bloodshed, and transfer of wealth that took place here. It was not the plan at all. It was not the plan all along. When the dust settled, the Liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. By virtue of their survival, they were handed enormous power to shape the future.
She turns her gaze to the Delta.
This was all our last generation managed.
Would you have done something differently?
With due respect to our overlords, the eternal caretaker government that keeps Martinez a monument to the efficiency of its artillery, I would not have relinquished sovereignty to the coalition, not here in Martinez, and not in Estella Maris or Delta beachheads either, if not for my own sake.
She realizes her small cold fists are clenched. She loosens them.
Then for my daughters, we had an obligation to defend our sovereignty. We should have burned the whole Isola down rather than let them have it.
Dark orange flames reflect in her green eyes, an oil fire on the ocean. You're a patriot?
Yes, I suppose I am, but I wouldn't be a patriot anywhere but here.
Sedacious talk, madame. Kim puts down his notes and gives her a look. You're a smart woman.
Perhaps.
Her earrings chime as she nods.
My intellectual vanity will be my undoing.
You're no dummy yourself. So am I.
A smart boy getting smarter, one basic term of reality at a time.
You have daughters?
Yes, whatever else I am, I'm also a mother and a wife.
She closes her eyes, then opens them again.
Now, shall we return to reality?
What is this? Spreading my hands.
A bird? She tilts her head. A sphinixidid? A sphinixidid? A flightless bird of the polar regions?
I meant, what is this place here?
Ah!
She spreads her arms almost as wide.
This is the Pier Rue Saint Ghislaine 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent me a slot. Or two.
She looks around. What is Rue de Saint Ghislaine 33A?
A pre-revolution tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see. And new buildings, bâtiments, after les bâtiments nouveaux. But 33A and 33B are not nouveaux. They're old.
She looks up at the crumbling facade.
This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall, a real high-rise by the standards of the last century, built to mirror the skyscrapers across the bay in the Delta. That was before the war, of course.
Who lived in them?
Mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This one was a primo real estate, before the cannons lopped 4 or 5 stories off.
Splat, splat! From a dilapidated balcony, Cindy the Skull gives Joyce the evil eye, her red paintbrush held to her throat.
Wonderful.
Okay. What is that? Pointing to Cindy the Skull.
The girl in the old lady rags?
Yes.
Looks like a sullen, rebellious member of a teen infraculture.
Infraculture?
Yes, you and I belong to the superculture. We're common, the herd. The music on the radio, the food in the chain restaurant. Those are too popular for the girl in the old lady rags. She prefers a fantasy world, an infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There's no refuge from the superculture.
Alright. I understand everything. Make it more complicated somehow.
I can't. That's how simple it is. One may dye their hair green and wear the grandma's coat all they want. Capital has the ability to subsume all critiques into itself. Even those who would critique Capital end up reinforcing it instead.
She pauses to take a long, leisurely sip of tea.
Alright, what next?
I think we're done here. Right. That's all for just now. The reason I'm saying it's all for just now is, one, I need to level up, which is good. Got the reality lowdown as well. Nice. So I can level up again. Oh, first of all, let's change my jacket. So my jacket right now is suggestion minus half light. I want to switch to this one, I think. Yeah. Perfect. So that'll give me more of a chance than that on the Esprit de Corps. But I also want to take one more point in something. I'm tempted to go empathy. I kind of want to get Kuno's one done. So I'm going to go empathy again. Yeah. I know we could have done a thought, but I don't think we need to. Although we're about to finish that thought as well. Hey, what's up?
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
I've got more questions about reality. 17%. It's worth trying. What is... Thinking of something close to me. Ooh. It remains a mystery what you mean by there's something close. It isn't about you, it's about reality. Okay. Okay, tell me about this alleged... Actually, you know what? Stop that. Put on the coat. Go back.
You're back.
Tell me about this alleged
What
drug
can I help you
trafficking.
with?
It's quite straightforward. Someone is using Terminal B to smuggle raw ingredients from the Samaran Isola into Revachol with the Union's blessing. Wild Pines has suspected it for years. Ingredients for what, madame? Meth and dextroamphetamine, GBL and various synthetic psychedelics. Honestly, it might be quicker to say what you can't make from this stuff. Okay, let me get this straight. The materials come from Samara to Revachol through the terminal? Yes, and after they clear the terminal, we lose track. The actual production is taking place at various sites in around the Yamrock quarter, north of here. Wild Pines seem to be well appraised of the local drug trade, madame. Do you mean to say the Union also produces the product? Sells drugs, I mean? We're in logistics. It's our business to know, and no, as far as the company knows, the Union does not produce it. They transport the ingredients for a cut. So you want us to investigate? Yes, but you won't get anything out of Everett and the Dock Workers Union. Still, she raises her bony finger, every chain has its weak link. The handoff, the motor lorries at the roundabout. Am I going to need bolt custers for this? Unlikely, officer. I'm talking about the lorries. Once the ingredients reach the Yamrock, they're distributed to a network of local manufacturers well beyond our grasp. But in transit, they may be vulnerable. Perhaps you've noticed the number of lorries are now tangled in a traffic jam at the roundabout just now. Interview the drivers who are still hanging about. One of them might have been waiting for a crucial shipment. She gives you a knowing look. I'll be explicit. If you find this driver, I will share company secrets with you. Why didn't you come to RCM earlier? Breakthrough imminent in our socioeconomics. We did on more than one occasion. Apparently there's some sort of inter-precinct disagreement about this whole jurisdiction this area falls under. We know the company has launched its own probe into the Union's alleged involvement. We also know it's come up empty. It's not just the RCM. No one's been able to find any hard evidence. Well, she smiles and points towards the roundabout. Here's your chance, officers. It's no coincidence the lorries are stranded there like that, is it? No, we asked East Motor Track to raise the drawbridge. The road company is a partner of one of our subsidiaries. However, he pauses, looking to the sea. This is a limited time opportunity. Once the complaint has been processed by the trade committee, they'll have no choice but to lower the drawbridge. And the operation will continue. She looks north. Thousands of litres of raw ingredients will pour onto the streets of Revachol, not the east across the river, but the west, the vulnerable, the weary. Well, at least this solves one mystery. What is that, Lieutenant? Why, I had to call East Motor Tract and beg them to open the drawbridge for me. I've wondered since I first drove in on my motor carriage. I am sorry for the inconvenience, Lieutenant Kurosaki, but we need them trapped here. This is a unique opportunity, I'm sure you understand. What proof do you have that the Union is involved? How do you think they're financing this strike? There are thousands of unpaid dock workers, going strong for a 4th month straight. There was a shakedown of local businesses preceding the strike. Many were squeezed to bankruptcy to fund it. With all due respect to these desert cacti, the contents of the few cash registers cannot provide for 2,000 men. The local businesses can scarcely provide for themselves. Do you think the strike is being funded with sourced ingredients for the drugs? Precisely, smuggled out of that variegated night, most likely. then loaded onto lorries and driven to Yamrock. You simply need to find one driver who will open up to you. It sounds like she's tried looking into it herself, but she's clearly not the type your typical lorryman would confide in. Okay. Okay, I've made up my mind about the smuggling investigation. Yes? We will take this case, probe the driver, see what it yields. Excellent. She takes a long sip of tea. According to my reports, there are at least 3 lorry drivers lingering near the roundabout. Hopefully one of them will know something. It may come to nothing, or it may blow the case wide open. I can keep the drawbridge up for a few more days at least. You should have the time you need. In the meantime, let me know if there's any other way of me being of assistance. She takes a long sip from her seemingly bottomless thermal cup. See ya. You finished our thought on Mazovian's socio-economics. 0.000% of communism has been built. Evil child-murdering billionaires still rule the world with shit-eating grin. All he has managed to do is make himself sad. He started to suspect Krasmazov fucked him over, personally, with his socio-economic theory. It has, however, made him into a very, very smart boy with something like a university degree in truth. Instead of building communism, he now builds the precise model of this grotesque duplicitous world. Left-wing decisions options give plus 4 XP, but we get -1 visual calculus and -1 authority. So can I ditch this? That's the correct. I can't forget anything. Why can I not forget anything? These just aren't forgettable. You need skill points to forget as well. Oh, okay. Was there not another one of these we had? Oh yeah, it's this one. But we can't internalize it because we need another slot. So you need to point to get rid of something. So our visual calculus is actually lowered, as is our authority. Just to go into authority, because we haven't done authority yet. Intimidate the public, assert yourself. Leaders, the experts of psychological warfare and respect junkies it's cool for. Authority urges you to assert and reassert your dominance over those around you. It enables you to understand the power dynamics of a group of thugs, know how far you can push a perpetrator, and how to establish control of situations. At high levels, authority demands respect. Even a perceived slight could send you into a knee-breaking mode. With low authority, however, you're forever in awkward situations, like when you suffer psychological breakdowns after you yell at teenagers and they laugh at you. Okay. Interesting. Well, with that, I'm going to end the episode there. Thank you for watching. It was a lot of talking to one person, but we're kind of done for today, I think. Oh, we unlocked something on the map as well. Oh, it's just telling us that our empathy is available again. And we got nothing else here, I don't think. Right. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.